Phase 1. The hook. Visual. Grainy, Super 8 footage of a child standing alone on the edge of a playground. The other children are a blur of motion in the background. The focus is on the isolated figure. The sound is muffled, distant laughter, and a low, unsettling synthesizer hum. Voiceover. Have you ever felt it? That quiet hum of insignificance. The chilling realization that if you were to vanish from a room, the conversation would continue without a single skipped beat. It's not a loud, dramatic pain. It's a slow, creeping frost. A feeling that you are a background character in a movie where you were promised the lead role. This isn't just self-doubt. It's a specific, dangerous void. We're going to give it a name. We're going to call it the friend complex. Stay with us, because by the end of this investigation, you will not only understand the terrifying logic of the person who wants to become the center of the universe, you will also learn how to identify their shadow in yourself, and in others, before they decide to burn the world down just to feel its warmth. Phase 2. The problem. Visual. A montage of mundane, slightly unsettling images from the 1980s, 90s. An empty office after hours, fluorescent lights buzzing. A high school yearbook photo with one face circled in red ink. A flickering television screen showing a news report, but the screen is too distorted to make out the details. Voiceover. You know this feeling intimately, even if you don't have a name for it. You're at a party, or a work meeting, or a family gathering. You see the effortless charisma of others. You watch them hold court, their stories landing perfectly, their laughter echoing, drawing people in like a tide. And you are an island. You have thoughts, you have ideas, you have a whole world inside you, but the bridge from your mind to your mouth seems to have collapsed. You feel a cocktail of admiration and a bitter, acidic resentment. It's the feeling of being perpetually, almost chosen for the team. Almost asked to dance. Almost credited for the idea that someone else just presented as their own. It's the psychology of the understudy who knows all the lines, but is never given the stage. Think about a school reunion. You walk into a room filled with ghosts from your past. The hierarchy, you quickly realize, hasn't changed. The quarterback is now a successful executive, still commanding the same gravity. The prom queen is still luminous, surrounded by the same court. And you are still you. Standing by the punch bowl, observing. A quiet voice in your head begins to whisper. It doesn't say, "I have failed." It says something far more poisonous. It says, "They don't see me. They don't understand my real value. This reality is wrong. This is the hidden cost." This quiet resentment doesn't just curdle into sadness. It calcifies into an alternate reality. A meticulously constructed world inside your mind where you are the misunderstood genius, the unacknowledged prophet, the secret hero. And in that private, perfect world, everyone else is just an obstacle. An ignorant mob. And here is the danger. When a person lives in that eternal world for long enough, they will eventually do anything, to make the external world look just like it. They will start to believe that shattering the real world is the only way to prove that their fantasy was the truth all along. The friend complex isn't about a desire for success. It's about a desire for a reality rewrite. It is the desperate, apocalyptic ambition of the perpetually unseen. Phase 3. The solution. Visual. A shift in aesthetic. We see panels from a manga, grainy and aged. The art is detailed, showing kids in a makeshift fort made of weeds, drawing symbols in a dusty notebook. The vibe is nostalgic but tinged with a sense of foreboding. Voiceover. To truly dissect this complex, we have to travel back to the end of the 20th century. Not our 20th century, but one dreamed up by a group of Japanese children in a secret base, a vacant lot overgrown with summer weeds. A world they documented in a dusty notebook they called the Book of Prophecy. This is the world of Naoki Urasawa's sprawling, paranoid epic, 20th Century Boys. The story follows a man named Kenji, a convenience store manager whose boring, adult life is shattered when a mysterious cult leader begins bringing his childhood prophecies to life. A bloody New Year's Eve. A giant robot. A global pandemic. All orchestrated by a shadowy figure known only as Friend. Who is Friend? The entire mystery revolves around this question. Was he one of Kenji's childhood group? An outsider? A ghost? The answer is the key. Friend is the one who was never really there. The boy who wore a mask, not for a game, but because he had no face of his own. The boy who was never invited, never chosen, never truly seen. Friend is the perfect, terrifying embodiment of the friend complex. And his methods for taking over the world are a clinical blueprint for this psychology. He doesn't want to join the game. He wants to burn the board and force everyone to play a new one. His game. The solution to understanding this, to defending against it, is to recognize its three core principles of operation. Voiceover. Principle 1. The theft of memory. A person suffering from the friend complex has no story of their own. They are a void. So, their first act is not creation, but theft. They become a master plagiarist of identity. In 20th century boys, Friend doesn't invent a new prophecy. He finds Kenji's forgotten book of prophecy and claims it as his own. He steals the games, the symbols, the dreams of another person's childhood and wears them like a costume. Why? Because a stolen story, a stolen memory, feels more real than one you invent from nothing. It has history. It has weight. Think of it in your own life. You see someone who seems to adopt the mannerisms, the opinions, the entire aesthetic of someone they admire or envy. They don't just learn from them, they absorb them. They are trying to steal the authenticity of another because they have none themselves. They are a hollow man, trying to fill themselves with the echoes of others. The friend complex doesn't just want a new future. It needs to retroactively insert itself into a past where it was significant. It's a psychic crime, a home invasion of the soul. Voiceover. Principle 2. The cult of the empty symbol. Once the foundation of a stolen past is laid, the next step is to create a banner for the future. But a person with no core identity cannot create a symbol with specific meaning. So they create the opposite, a symbol with no meaning. A beautiful, powerful, empty vessel. Friend's symbol is a perfect example. An eye in a hand. What does it mean? Friendship? Surveillance? A higher power? Justice? It means all of them, and therefore, none of them. The power of an empty symbol is that anyone can project their own desires, fears, and hopes onto it. To the disenfranchised, it means salvation. To the paranoid, it means control. To the hopeful, it means a better future. The friend offers a universal mirror, and everyone who looks into it sees their own needs reflected back. This is the genius of the cult leader, the demagogue, the toxic partner. They don't give you answers. They give you a symbol and let you answer your own questions. They create a we that is defined only by its opposition to them. Their ideology is a blank canvas, and their followers are handed the paint. The leader's power comes not from what they stand for, but from the simple fact that they are the ones holding the canvas. Visual. A sequence of unsettling images. A vial of purple liquid. A person in a hazmat suit. A massive, looming robot shadow over a city. It's chaos, but it looks staged, almost theatrical. Voiceover. Principle 3. The manufactured apocalypse. Here is the final, most terrifying piece of the puzzle. To become the savior, there must be a crisis. To be the hero, there must be a monster. And if the world does not provide a monster of sufficient size, the friend will build one himself. He cannot gain recognition in a world that is functioning. His mediocrity is only visible in times of peace and order. He can only become extraordinary against a backdrop of total chaos. So, he unleashes a deadly virus upon the world, and then magically appears with the only vaccine. He builds the giant robot that threatens to destroy Tokyo, so that he can be the one to defeat it. He is the arsonist and the firefighter. The disease and the cure. The problem and the reaction. This is the ultimate reality rewrite. He creates a global catastrophe not for power, not for money, but for narrative significance. He is willing to kill millions of people to create a story in which he, the boy who was never seen, is the most important person who ever lived. He wants to be the protagonist of the end of the world, because it's the only story big enough to make him feel like he exists. To put it simply, the friend complex operates like an inverse black hole. A black hole is an object of immense density, Its gravity so strong it pulls everything in. The friend is a point of absolute zero identity. A perfect vacuum. And this void at his core creates a psychic gravity of its own, pulling in memories, people, and even history itself, all in a desperate attempt to feel full. He doesn't want to be somebody. He wants to be the only body. The sun around which all of humanity is forced to orbit, or burn. Phase 4. The application, visual. A shift to a more instructional, calm aesthetic. A clean desk with a notebook and a pen. A hand writes down the title of each step. The footage is still grainy, like a corporate training video from the 1970s. Voiceover. Understanding this complex is one thing. Identifying and disarming it is another. Because its shadow exists in all of us. That flicker of resentment, that desire to be the hero of a grander story. The goal is not to eliminate it, but to keep it in the light. To prevent the shadow from taking control. Here is a practical guide. A series of mental exercises to ground yourself in an authentic reality, not a manufactured one. Voiceover. Step 1. Audit your narrative. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take out a piece of paper or a journal. Ask yourself this question. In the story of my life that I tell myself, what is my role? Be brutally honest. Are you the hero, bravely facing down adversity? Are you the victim, unfairly targeted by a cruel world? Are you the misunderstood martyr? The loyal sidekick? The secret king? There are no wrong answers. But there is a second, much harder question. Write this down. Is this role defined by my own actions, or is it defined by my reactions to the success and failure of others? The hero who defines himself by his own moral code is grounded. The hero who only feels heroic when he is exposing the flaws of others is on dangerous ground. The victim who seeks to overcome their circumstances is building strength. The victim who cultivates their victimhood as an identity is building a prison. The friend complex lives in reaction. Its entire identity is a response to being overlooked. It says, he is successful, therefore my lack of success is a profound injustice. She is happy, therefore the world is unfair. Your goal is to shift from a reactive narrative to a proactive one. A story not about what the world has done to you, but about what you choose to do in the world. Voiceover. Step 2. Identify the stolen symbols. This exercise requires a different kind of honesty. Think of a person you know, or a public figure, whom you resent or feel intensely envious of. Not just mild jealousy, but that deep, burning feeling of injustice. Write their name at the top of a page. Now, below it, don't list their achievements. Instead, list the qualities these achievements seem to represent. Do you resent their wealth, or the freedom it represents? Do you resent their creative success, or the public validation it brings them? Do you resent their happy relationship, or the feeling of being seen and chosen that it implies? The friend complex doesn't want the thing itself. It wants the symbolism of the thing. It wants the story that comes with it. This exercise helps you see if your ambition is generative or deconstructive. A generative ambition says, I want to earn a sense of validation, so I will go and create something of value. A deconstructive, friend-like ambition says, I want that person's validation, so I will either copy what they did, or I will tear them down so their validation means nothing. Recognize when you are chasing a real goal, and when you are trying to steal the feeling of someone else's. Voiceover. Step 3. Practice the art of small presence. The friend complex is fueled by a desperate craving for the spotlight. It wants to be the one talking, the one being listened to, the one who is interesting. The antidote is to practice the opposite. For 1 week, try this technique. In one conversation each day, with a coworker, a barista, a partner, your goal is not to be interesting, but to be interested. This is harder than it sounds. It means you must listen without planning your response. You must ask questions you don't know the answer to. You must resist the urge to turn their story into a springboard for your own. You must, for 5 minutes, make the universe of the conversation revolve around them. The friend complex believes that significance comes from being seen. This exercise teaches you the profound, grounding power of seeing. It finds meaning not in occupying the center, but in appreciating the whole. True confidence is not the need to fill the space with your own voice, but the ability to hold that space for someone else. Voiceover. Step 4. Differentiate between a plan and a prophecy. This is the final, crucial distinction. Look at your ambitions for your life. Your goals for your career, your relationships, your personal growth. Now, ask, is this a plan, or is this a prophecy? A plan is a series of steps you control. I will write 1 page every day. I will apply for 3 jobs this week. I will go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A plan is humble. It is grounded in your own actions. It accepts the possibility of failure and adjustment. A prophecy is a grand, preordained outcome you feel you are owed. I am destined to be a famous author. I deserve to be the CEO. The world will eventually recognize my genius. A prophecy is arrogant. It is not about your actions, but about the world's obligation to you. When reality doesn't conform to the prophecy, the world is wrong, not the prophecy. Friend didn't have a plan. He had a prophecy he stole from a child's notebook. And he burned the world to make it come true. Ground yourself in plans. A life built on a series of small, deliberate, authentic actions cannot be easily hijacked by the grandiose delusions of the friend complex. You build your identity brick by brick, through your own labor. You don't wait for a throne to be given to you. Phase 5. The proof. Visual. We return to the world of 20th century boys. A shot of the main character, Kenji, holding a guitar on a makeshift stage. He looks tired, older, but determined. The images are of small rebellions, not grand battles. Voiceover. Does this approach actually work? Can a series of small, authentic actions truly defeat a grand, manufactured apocalypse? In the world of 20th century boys, the answer is an emphatic yes. Think about how Friend is ultimately defeated. Kenji and his group don't write a better book of prophecy. They don't create a bigger, more charismatic cult. They don't build a bigger robot. They win through small, tangible acts of defiance. Kenji doesn't broadcast a message of hope to the world. He picks up his guitar and plays an old rock and roll song for a handful of people in a cordoned-off neighborhood. Kana, his niece, doesn't lead an army. She organizes a neighborhood watch and protects her small patch of the city. Ocho doesn't assassinate the dictator. He works to save a single doctor who holds the key to the real vaccine. They defeat Friend's global, artificial narrative with 1,000 tiny, authentic realities. They chose presence over prophecy. They chose community over a cult. They chose the messy, imperfect truth of human connection over the clean, sterile lie of a single, controlling vision. Friend's empire, built on stolen symbols and manufactured crises, was ultimately a house of cards. It looked immense, but it was hollow. It required constant energy, constant surveillance, constant deception to keep from collapsing under the weight of its own inauthenticity. Voiceover. This isn't just the logic of fiction. It is the logic of history. Psychologists have long studied the mechanisms of narcissistic personality disorder. While we must be careful with clinical labels, the patterns are illuminating. The pathology is often rooted in what the psychologist Alfred Adler called a profound inferiority complex. A feeling of being so small, so worthless, that the mind overcompensates by constructing a grandiose, superiority complex. The friend complex is the engine that drives this tragic journey. It is the narrative justification for the delusion of grandeur. Consider the great cult leaders of the 20th century. Look past the mythology and you will often find a profoundly insignificant person at the center. Charles Manson was a failed musician and petty criminal. A nobody. His power came from his mastery of the friend complex. He stole the symbols of others, most famously, the Beatles song, Helter Skelter, and twisted it into a prophecy of a coming race war. He didn't offer his followers a plan. He offered them a central role in a stolen story. He made other nobodies feel like the protagonists of history. The logic is undeniable. An identity built on stolen parts, empty symbols, and manufactured crises is fundamentally unstable. It is a parasite. It must feed on the attention and belief of others to survive. Authenticity, on the other hand, is self-sustaining. A true identity isn't a story you tell the world. It is the sum of the actions you take when nobody is watching. It is the character you build, not the costume you wear. You cannot defeat a lie with a better lie. You defeat a lie by living, stubbornly and courageously, in the truth. Phase 6. The Call to Action Voiceover. The friend complex is a ghost that haunts the hallways of the modern world. It is born in the quiet moments of envy, in the feeling of being left behind by a world that seems to be moving faster and faster. It promises significance, but it only delivers a deeper emptiness. But its power fades when you drag it into the light. When you see its patterns, you can break its spell. So now, we turn the investigation over to you. In the comments below, I want you to answer this question. Which fictional character, from any book, film, or series, do you think best embodies the friend complex? Let's build a library of these forgotten figures, these cautionary tales. Let's see how often this pattern truly appears. Voiceover. If you believe that the past is never truly past, and that these forgotten stories and hidden psychologies hold the keys to understanding our present, then join our archive. Subscribe to Hello, Yesterday. We have many more files to declassify. And as you consider the ways we try to rewrite our own reality, you must understand the powerful, dangerous pull of a past that never was. That's why your next step in this investigation should be our analysis of the nostalgia trap. How false memories control your future. Click the link on your screen. The truth isn't always comforting. But it's the only thing that will keep you grounded when the world tries to sell you a beautiful, all-consuming lie.